Aetherades just got turned on its head. This is a really crucial banner if you are a defense nut. These two units are going to absolutely change Aetherades defense completely, and offense for that matter, but at a slower rate depending on how quickly people adopt these. Let's get into Höðr though. This is an interesting unit and one that I was not as high on as we were going into this. So, Anima, Flyer, Bow. Now, there are a lot of things to be discussed about this, but I want you to pay attention right here. Oh, it's not going to show it. Never mind. We'll see in just a second. So, Dusk Rifle. This is slaying, effective against flyers. At start of phase, grants to unit and allies within 2 spaces, res +6, bonus doubler, and 50% piercing. And at the start of enemy phase, after other start of turn effects, converts visible debuffs into visible buffs and neutralizes 2 penalties. There's a lot to unpack there. The thing I want you to hone in on, because that is some good support, but neutralizing 2 penalties is very, very good. I know technically this is something you can overwhelm, but by and large, that will cleanse a lot of the troublesome things unless a player particularly plans for it. That is very, very good. Start of combat, if unit initiates or is within 2 spaces of an ally, you get an Omni +14 conditionally, true damage of 20% of res, a guaranteed follow-up, and preempt pulse, which is really good because if we zoom back over to this, so we got true damage, and this is going to hit with Ice Wall that has a ton of boosted damage, especially for high res units, which this unit is going to have a fair amount of res. Let's look at what else is in the kit though. We have Attack Res Mastery, Attack Defense Discord, and Truth Keeper. So Attack Res Mastery is so-so on this unit. I would probably replace that out with, I mean, probably anything that gives you true damage there. So the Sly skills. Sly Mirror is probably the way to go here. Mastery, you just don't want Kanto on defense. That is not a thing that is good. But anyway, so past that, Attack Defense Discord is nice because it has true damage built in. The Discord is okay. The Truth Keeper portion of this is what we're going to zoom in on, and this has, if defending in Aetherades during Anima or Chaos Season, and someone attacks, the safety fence goes away. So we're going to see the same thing on Baldr. I want to talk about this because this is important. This is kind of hard to read and unravel a bit, and let me explain what's going on. This means that the safety fence, as long as you're just rearranging your units, you can take the full 3 turns. That is fine. That is still something that exists in this game. But if you attack a unit, if you take them out, then the safety fence goes away and everything goes nuts. And that is even if this unit dies. So you can't just snipe this unit and try to get away with it like that. This is very, very powerful. Now, past that, we have some more supportive effects. If ally is within 3 rows, 3 columns, they get attack res +5 and DR equals 7. So that's flat DR, and then you get healing of 7 HP. And if unit is within, that same space has an ally, you get attack res +5, you get true damage of 15, you get a flat DR of 7, and you get preempt pulse equals max 2. So that means that this unit is going to be able to proc Ice Wall very easily. And again, high res, that boosted damage is very nice. We'll get to what that stat is in just a second. So, and then restores 7 HP to unit after combat. This unit does a lot of great supportive things, and you're going to see in just a second, actually does a really good job attacking, which is a little bit nutty. Let's talk about the damage analysis here. First off, I want you to see that the flat DR is much higher than I expected. 35 is really legit there. So that's already, this unit is going to be much beefier than I thought. Now, they have flyer weakness, and that's going to be a thing, but just to understand that this is not going to be a pushover unit. The next thing you want to look at there is the true damage of 42, and that is really respectable. Keep in mind that's a little bit above Elm. I mean, I don't have to tell you that that's good. So this unit is going to be able to hit hard as well. Then we have the boosted damage.
But I'm begging you.
So 64 is very respectable, and keep in mind most of the time when I say this it's because they have Ice Wall, and Ice Wall is 4 cooldown, and I'm then going to tell you that, but Ice Wall can be hard to proc. It's not for this unit. So for damage reduction, we have the Unpierceable with Ice Wall. We have the flat DR combined with that, which that is really what you want. You want that marriage of the two. You have true damage that is pretty high. It's not Camilla high, but that is very respectable. And you have boosted damage that's also pretty high. This unit is not going to be a nuke that just automatically takes care of people like Camilla, but this unit is going to be very, very respectable. Let's look at the tier lists for this unit. So first off, I have to get anima rankings out of the way. I don't need to tell you guys that this is the most important defense unit in the game right now, period, all stop. The safety fence is one of the worst designs that IS has ever had in the history of FEH. It's not good. It makes some it makes units too powerful, and it makes other units just completely weak. Like it stacks the deck when it comes to offense. I just today I took 3 turns and had Elm constantly swapping places with Micaiah Ring and getting 2 people out per turn. So by the time I got my extra reinforcement unit, then there was 2 whole units to take out. That's nutty. Now, that does not mean that offense is dead. If you are a player phase nut, that might mean that you have to wait until turn 3. And then you get, multiple kills with your team and hopefully multiple kills with your whatever unit you have. Camilla is usually my go-to, spawn unit that just does cleanup. So in my case, that would be 4 units down if everything goes well. But it's not going to be as forgiving, and that's the biggest thing that you'll want to look at. We will see how things turn out, and I am curious to see if we see a huge bump in enemy phase strategies now. Keep in mind, that's a huge bump. I'm not saying that they're going to be the primary source, but understand that they weren't dead in the water. They were much, much harder to use than anything else we were going up against. So I still really like Höðr and Freyr. You'll notice I have them up here together. I probably should have them separated by a tier, but I'm just running out of space. The reason they would be separated by a tier is purely for the fact that Höðr is good in more modes than Freyr. And while that is not the primary focus of this, I do try to take that into consideration. The main source of this ranking, though, is going to be how they do in anima season. And for defense in general, Freyr is still incredibly valuable with that cleansing. But keep in mind, we do get a light version of that with Höðr. Past that, you're probably going to have some arguments over Mira being this high, and Famortis, and there's a lot of debate that you could have on this. I have Famortis over Duma, but it's not by much. The jump between tier 1 and 2 is just huge. It is a chasm. Famortis is still usable. Duma is still usable because, again, if you can get rid of the safety fence on turn 1, that is something that is very powerful. Past that, there is so much refreshing that you can get out of actual units that dancers have lost a ton of value. And Mira is an example of that all the way down in tier 3 with Höðr. That's something. The other units on here, they are near unusable, and I don't. This isn't an ordered ranking, It is very, very difficult to use them right now. If you are getting them into defense, hats off to you, and that is amazing. But value-wise, they don't hold a lot. Höðr, however, is clearly the best anima defense unit we have, period. Next, we have Baldr, and I mean, I kind of expected this unit to be a little better. I'll be honest. I am a little bit surprised by this unit. So we have Sunsword, and this has Sling. Neutralizes effective versus flyers. At start of enemy phase, reverses visible bonuses and penalties on nearest foe and all foes within 2 spaces of them. So, I mean, that's nice. And if unit initiates combat, applies Divine Vein Flame in a 5x5 line behind foe after combat. That is a lot of Divine Vein Flame. And we've talked about how burn damage isn't as good as it used to be, but it's not gone. And I mean, there have been plenty of times where I have benefited from the stoppage to movement that this brings units. Like it's ranged units having limited movement is sometimes very, very handy. Past that, start of combat. If unit initiates or is within 2 spaces of an ally, you get an Omni plus 14 conditionally. Special cooldown charge plus 1 per attack, which is weird in this day and age. True damage equals 20% of speed. Flat DR equals 50% of speed versus red, green, colorless units, and 20 versus blue. If you remember during her map, this was one of those things where you would have a blue unit, and that would be the way you would kill this unit. That is a lot of flat DR, though. That legitimately, that is a ton. So the last thing she gets is that flat DR again versus specials. I'm going to show you that flat DR, and it is something to behold. Let me just say. Let's get to Celestial Form, and this is boost damage by X% of unit speed. X is most of the time 60. Yeah. This is if unit or foe special is ready or unit or foe special triggered, it is going to go through this insanity of things, and it's going to be 40% reduction. Just, I don't know. This is good. It's good. I don't understand why they went through all of this to give us 60% boost and 40% DR. That is nuts to me. I think this is inheritable. We'll find out. I don't know that for sure, but I think this is inheritable, and that might be fun coming down the line. Okay, let's move on. Blue Skies is absolutely perfect for her. Other than the Kanto, and we just talked about, I don't like Kanto on defense units. I just don't. So that's a thing. But yeah, excellent on her. Justice Enforcer, and we'll head over here. We have, if defending an AR destroys safe defense, the exact same thing. Like if this unit dies, the safe defense still dies. And if anyone attacks, then the safe defense gets destroyed. Then we have start of turn. If HP is greater than or equal to 25%, you inflict exposure on closest foes plus those within 2 spaces. Start of combat, HP is greater than or equal to 25%, inflicts attack speed defense -5 on foe, true damage max of 15, flat DR of 7, no follow-up, and if exposure is active on foe, triggers potent follow-up of 100%. Okay, so that's the thing I want to point out about exposure. Normally I talk about how I don't like start of turn exposure, and that is more in the realm of offense. On defense, when that hits, it is very unlikely that it'll be cleansed, and therefore is most of the time added to what this unit is going to do. And this unit's going to do a lot. This unit is going to be very, very interesting. So let's go back to what else it says. Attack speed hold guide, and that is, Allies within 2 spaces of unit can move to any space within 2 spaces. So it's that uber warp thing. And unit can move within a space within 2 spaces of an ally. So the mobility is definitely there. Warp inhibitors are what they are, but you'd have less of those on offense. This unit is going to be able to move about the cabin freely. All right. So I've been holding you up. Let's just jump right into the damage analysis. This is nutty. I don't really know what to say about this. So we have a flat DR of 53, and that is if you are not blue. So understand that is assuming you're not blue. That, to my knowledge, is the highest flat DR in the game. That is significant. And we saw a little bit of this when we were, playing against her in, PvE, but to really have that pop out at you, keep in mind she didn't have her preference B skill, and that adds on a lot, but that is something. The true damage of 48 is even higher than Höðr, and that is including exposure. So I have tacked that on, keep that in mind, but still, that is significant. And then you get a boosted damage of 46, which is not as high as Höðr, but this is going to be such an interesting melee frontliner. I am very, very curious at exactly what happens here. I will, if we go back and look at Celestial Form, keep in mind that is, you're getting that damage reduction regardless of what phase it's in. So that is a big deal. So you're getting, again, that flat DR, but you're also getting Celestial Form's percent DR that is unpierceable. This unit is going to be very, very tanky. If you want a Baldr plushie or a t-shirt with a Baldr plushie on it, we have those in the store. They are adorable. The link is right above me. Go check that out, and let's get back to the episode. So let's look at the tier list, and I have a few of them for you. As a melee nuke, I am not super high on her. Tier 2 is kind of low, but I don't know that that's really what this unit wants to be. So let's leave this. I do think this is right, but I want to go over to the melee frontliner, and I think this is really the role that this unit wants to be in. And there are different places for this. Keep in mind, this is really popular right now on defense because it's so easy to get undefended on units that you need a line up front that can take a hit from, Emblem Lyn or whoever else comes along. So I have this unit. So I don't think she's better than BK because it's BK. The debate there is between her and Rhea, though, and I'll have to think about that. Rhea has Miracle, and that is the only thing that is keeping her past Baldr. Baldr that is a ridiculous amount of DR. Ridiculous. And I am very curious if this unit can survive against Camilla. Legitimately curious, which is a weird place to be in. So I just understand that. Also, if you are a proud owner of Hresvelgr, you are really happy right now. That's right, CJ. One more thing that is just a feather in your cap. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and I think that is the role. And I think that is the last time I looked at melee frontliners, I was looking more on offense, and they just weren't as used on defense. Melee nukes are so powerful right now that this role has gotten even better. So that is really where I'm looking at right now. I think this unit is incredibly powerful. Now, let's look at dark rankings, and it's the same thing. This unit could be a wet noodle and have that effect that it kills the safety fence, and it would still be tier 0. That is how absolutely ridiculous that effect is. The question is who you're going to pair, and I had a debate over whether I actually at this point like Loki better than Larothra. This is on defense specifically, and I've gone back and forth. I still put Larothra up there because it's possible that Larothra gets a big bump because we have more player phase stuff that's going to be going on. But I understand Loki with getting rid of penalty or getting rid of bonuses on the opponent has really gained a lot of ground. That effect has become very, very valuable. That unit is even being used in SD for that reason. For tier 2, Note is still usable, Embla is still usable, but you're not going out of your way to get them on your team. I have seen a lot more Emblas than I have Notes. The big reason there is right now you don't really want your team to have mobility because you can't afford it. Like it is one of those things. You have to really buckle down in order to survive things like Camilla, or even like a buffed up Lyn can do a lot of damage. So in order to survive those, you have to be able to have more than what Note gives you. Note can't be a melee frontliner, and that's why, yeah, they're down here. As far as, I mean, Embla, I really just feel like Larothra does it better. That's really the big deal there. Tier 3, holding on and keeping himself from falling into the bottom of the barrel there is Medius, just because we have safety fence shenanigans, and it means Bolt Tower is very powerful right now. So that is the thing. I still, yeah, he's clinging on. The rest is just a mush pot. This was finally the one where I threw Triander down there. I was saying that dancers at least have a little bit of value, and I have, yeah, with the Micaiah ring, the last vestige of hope I had is just gone. Again, those aren't ordered. They're very hard to use. I have seen them in use, but it is difficult. Out of all of those, the one I've seen most, and I probably could put Hell up into tier 3 just because the warping shenanigans can be valuable. But yeah, for now I've got her into the mush pot right there. Okay, so who should you summon for it? This is an utter cop-out. And I've given first place to both red and blue. It just depends on who else you want. Elm is one of the best units in the game, and I give Elm high praise there. But Ira is not. Ira is just not in that realm, and Athos is very good, but we also have, a replacement for him, and he's not going to be quite as valuable. And then we have Nui Baba, which is a rearmed. So, I mean, if you're getting rearms, that's not the worst thing in the world. If it were me, I still think that red is more valuable. I would rather have Höðr over Baldr because of the cleansing. That is where I'm at. But it's close, and I could change my mind on that once I see these units. But that is, yeah. Now, green and colorless. The problem is, so Höðr is carrying green. I can't believe Robin is still in green. I am beside myself there. Stay away from this if you can. I love Rune, but that share. Gateau is still here? No. So I really should have gone 1-1 and 4-4. That's where I'm at with this. I just, yeah, stick with blue and red, and yeah. One more note. If you are not a defense nut, if you are not a fan of defense, if you're not going to build them, skip this banner. 100% skip this banner. Braves are coming. Braves are going to be ridiculous. If you don't build defenses, don't summon on this banner. at all. I just put out a video on the upcoming Nintendo Direct that should hit this week and all of its implications on Fire Emblem in general. I'm going to leave the link right here. Go check that out. Members, you are amazing. Thank you for all that you do. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.